Welcome back to the Respect the Drive podcast. I'm Tedward here at Garage 42, where I store my cars. But Garage 42 is more than just car storage, it's fleet management, which has made my life a heck of a lot easier because I hate getting inspection stickers. I don't like dealing with some of the annoyances of owning lots of cars. I don't own that many cars, but 4 is enough. And if I don't want to be dealing with all of the troubles and hassles of owning that fleet and dealing with some of the other stuff, I just want to drive them. I just want to use them. And that's what this place does, because every time I come back, they get washed, they get detailed, they're beautiful. If I need brake fluid flushed, well, Edwin's going to do that. And that's the best. And I also don't need to worry about finding a tire shop and shoving all that rubber in the back of an M5 or trying to transport it in the Porsche or putting my car up on jacks in my driveway so I can bring the wheels of the Porsche over to get new tires. No, they have Hunter mounting and balancing machines here, so it all happens in-house. Send your tires to G42 and they're just going to take care of it for you. So you don't have to worry. They do other maintenance as well. They'll do oil changes on some cars. They'll do brakes. They'll do all kinds of little things. So that's the beauty, is that if you need basic maintenance, stickers, tire mounting, all that good stuff done here, well, they'll do it. And it's just part of the deal. But today we've got a great guest. My friend Thanasi is here, and he is a wealth of knowledge. He is my guy when I'm thinking about the market. And he's also the optimist, because when I'm getting doom and gloom about the car market, when I'm wondering, when are they going to make cars like they used to? They don't make anything good anymore. Where are my manual raw sports cars? Well, Thanasi is usually there to tell me the opposite. He's saying, you know what? Cars are better than they've ever been. And while I don't always believe him, I like to have the conversation. And today, we've got a few cool cars to talk about, because he has a lot to discuss about the new Honda Prelude, a 2-door coupe, kind of sporty car with a Type R suspension and the hybrid powertrain, which we really like in the Civic hatchback, frankly. That's exciting. We've also got discussion about the 992.2 Carrera GTS that I drove over the weekend up through the mountains in New Hampshire, in Vermont. What a treat. What a beautiful car to drive. What a cool new powertrain. That's fun to talk about. And he's also making some decisions about his next car, because Thanasi never sticks with the car for more than a couple of months. He is the ultimate car buyer, but kind of works for him because he's never really depreciating the cars. He's just trading them. So all the power to him, because he really lives with a lot of different vehicles in his life. But how are you doing? Are you good? Are you managing to survive the end of summer? Is it too cold for you already? I'm getting there. I have had a phenomenal summer. I can't believe how much travel I've managed to endure in the last few months. It's just been crazy. I feel like I've gone everywhere. I've done everything. I have no regrets about this summer. I feel like I had just the right amount of downtime. I went to Wyoming with Chris Amos, the Topher. We did a 5-day camping journey through the through Bighorn National Forest in Wyoming with the Firestone crew and DIFCOMS, who organizes that whole thing. But I mean, this is really off the grid stuff. I mean, granted, yes, we do have Overland Cookery, who follows us in, now they used to have a trailer that was their kitchen. Now they follow us in a Ram Power Wagon, and it has all the goods to make essentially 5-star meals on the trail. But there's no bathrooms. We're in the wilderness. So although we're eating well, we are absolutely digging cat holes and shitting in the woods. And if that's not your thing, I highly recommend trying it, because I didn't think it was my thing either. But you know what? I say yes every time I'm invited to one of these things, because it's the best journey possible. I know it's not for everybody, but lately I have really been needing to connect with nature. I'm not doing well in the indoor life. I need to be out moving and doing stuff. Running got cut short for me for a while because of my right knee having some patellar tendonitis issues. I went to a sports medicine doctor. They did some tests and they did some scans. And the good news is nothing is degraded in, the cartilage or anything like that in my knee. So we're on the up and up there. I just got to do a bunch of PT and keep doing some strength training to keep this thing in check. But the good news is I can be running again. The other good news is, because I wasn't running, I bought a bicycle. I bought a Specialized Tarmac SL7 Comp. It's green. I like it. They made an SL8, but it's more expensive, and I don't think I could get it in green. So I wanted the green one. Why not? It's great because it fits in the back of my Civic Type R without taking the front wheel off. Similarly, fits in the Lexus that way. Although I do want a one-up trailer hitch mounted bike rack so I can throw that bike, and maybe if I buy a mountain bike, throw that on there as well. But cycling was something I was doing throughout college. I really enjoyed that. I used to do century rides, which if you're not in the know, a century ride is essentially like a marathon for a bike, but a century is 100 miles. So I would do rides from like Boston to Provincetown and things like that. It's my only real like endurance sport that I excelled at as a youngster. And even then I wasn't like competitive, but I did it, I did it. And knowing that you can do it sometimes is enough. But now I'm getting back into the running a little bit, and that's been super helpful just for my own well-being psychologically and fitness wise, because nothing settles the brain, intrusive thoughts, insanity, OCD like chronic exercise. But weightlifting honestly has been fantastic, and I found that I used to just do weightlifting to supplement the other stuff. It was like, well, I should probably be lifting some weights so that way I'm stronger for the running or the cycling or the this or the that. Now I'm finding I just love the weightlifting. I think it's super fun. It's incredible to be able to like watch yourself grow, literally, figuratively, all that stuff. And it's just a nice discipline, and it doesn't take that much time. I understand that if you've got like a typical 9 to 5 and proper like responsibilities and an hour commute on either end of your day, like it can be tough. But I'll tell you, prioritizing fitness has been a real game changer for me in the last like 2 years. And sometimes it means missed opportunities business wise, but honestly, it's like, I know that I feel better this way. So basically drinking as little as possible, sleeping as much as possible, and lifting, running, cycling as much as possible has just kind of done wonders for my body and my outlook, because life is just better when you don't feel like shit. Isn't that should be that should be my bumper sticker. My God. But I hope that you're carrying into the fall. I hope that you're not too hard on yourself if you don't meet certain goals, because, that's the thing. It's like, I feel like we're always so all in or not at all. And that's not a good way to live, because sometimes you just do it 50%, do it 20%, whatever. If you do something good for yourself 20% of the way, it's better than doing it 0% of the way. So at least do that. But this is a show about cars, so I suppose we should get back to it. Let's get on the mics with Thanasi and start talking about the market. All right, we're back in studio with Thanasi of The Money Shift. This is my market guy. Honestly, I know a lot of journalists. I know a lot of people in this little world. I like your takes.
Okay.
You're not cynical somehow. I don't know how that happened, because you should be at this point, but usually you're the optimist in the group, where I'm like, everything's boring. I'm sick of electric cars. Why does it drive itself? And you're like, these are the greatest cars we've ever seen. And I'm like, explain to me why. So I want, first of all, I'm going to just toss it to you, because if there's something burning that you need to talk about, let's just start there.
I want to talk about the 2025 Honda Prelude.
I knew it. I knew that was the car.
This just dropped. I don't know when this is necessarily going to air, but in this month, month of September, it dropped. It is effectively a Civic hybrid coupe with Civic Type R suspension brakes, 2+2 plush interior. It's getting a ton of pushback. And don't get me wrong, I understand the person that wanted this to be a Civic Type R with a manual and 300 horsepower and a coupe and so cool, but it's not that.
That's not that.
Right? Prelude was always a Accord coupe in its history. It was never Civic, so it was always this like kind of plush, semi-sporty thing. And I don't know. I think this is like the coolest thing we potentially could have gotten. A lot of that, I'm going to put a big asterisk. Folks can't see. I'm drawing an asterisk.
He's drawing, folks.
If this thing is 45 grand, I am out with a capital OUT.
It has to be 39,995. It really does. It really has to be. It has to be at or just a hair below 40 for this to be a feasible operation, because it's so. Let's go back for a second.
Sure.
First, let's talk style.
Yep.
I think it's a handsome thing. However, as a Honda fanboy,
Yep.
I see this. It looks like a Toyota to me. It looks like it has the Toyota front new design language, and the rear looks like a Prius.
It gets Corolla Prius for sure.
None of that is a bad thing.
Yeah.
I just am a little perplexed.
Especially when Civic is very handsome.
Great looking car.
Accord is very handsome.
Very good
So like
looking
they
car.
could have certainly adapted that design language in a way that fits the coupe style very nice.
So that is, I have not seen it in person yet.
Yeah,
They
sure.
only did studio tours. I usually don't get invited to studio tours because that's not my thing. I
Sure.
do it if I'm in town, I'll go.
Okay.
But if no one wants to watch me just walk around a car, so that's,
Disagree, but anyway. Yeah.
so that is the first thing where I'm like, okay, and it doesn't necessarily strike me as the most beautiful thing, but I do like it.
I think it'll age very well.
Agreed.
Right? Because there aren't many stylistic leaps, which generally means the car it will age better over time because they didn't do the Kia thing where it looks really, really good in
a moment.
2025, but then in 5 years you're like,
You've got to figure out the balance between Kia and BMW.
Yes,
because Kia
correct.
looks good on day one, BMW looks horrible for. Oh, hey, come on in. Yeah, come on in. What are you looking for?
I wasn't sure if you guys are recording.
I mean, we are, but no one's paying me. What's up?
The Unimog?
Oh yeah,
You want the bed done as well, detailed?
the bed.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as it's not like dead rats in it, I think it's fine. Yeah, we're probably good. Yeah, just sweep it out.
and
or
if there
something.
aren't, put the dead rats in.
Yeah. Actually, could you put some dead rats in there?
Sure.
Thank you. We're getting the Unimog ready to sell. We
Okay.
were gonna sell it already.
Okay.
And I did the photographs, but they were in the winter. And then when they went to sell it, Bring a Trailer was like, "These are winter photos."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Why did you
We
wait
shot
6
them in New
months?"
Zealand,
Yeah.
guys. Yeah. Duh.
I have a story about that.
Yeah.
So back to Prelude.
Yeah.
They need to split the difference between Kia and BMW, where
Right.
BMW only looks good on the last day of its last day of production.
Yeah,
where
you're like, why are they changing this?
Yeah.
It looks so great.
Suddenly,
Yeah.
I want an M2. I don't understand this. I didn't want one. I didn't care. I thought
Yep.
this Lego nightmare is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. And now every time I see one, I'm like, that's pretty nice.
It's not bad.
Unbelievable. I've done this with BMW for literally 15, 20 years.
Same boat.
It's
Exact same boat.
Whereas Kia, you're like, that's neat. And then like 4 days go by and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
barf.
Day one, you're like, why doesn't every automaker design every class of car they have like this? The Carnival, cool minivan, Sportage, cool SUV. And then 5 years down the road, you're like, oh, that's why.
So
But that's also why they change them as much as they do. But anyway. yeah.
Exactly. So I do think this Prelude probably splits the difference between
Sure.
these two. It's a handsome looking thing, but also it's a bold move to bring a coupe into this world.
Yeah.
In this economy, nobody wants this stuff. Everybody wants an HRV or a CHR or whatever the heck these little SUV sport things are.
Subaru Uncharted.
Oh yes. So that's an upsetting name.
Yeah. Hey,
Okay. See, this is where we play good cop, bad cop, because you're like, I mean, maybe it's got some legs. I'm like, boo.
Yeah.
But anyway, so no, I think, but all right. The thing is, I drove. Have you driven Civic Hybrid?
Yes.
Okay. Amazing.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous vehicle. It's the best use of this powertrain.
Yeah.
Because CRV feels a little underpowered. Accord is great, but because it only feels underpowered because we lost the V6.
Right.
And there's like, oh my God, that V6 with that 10 speed in the previous generation was just such a benchmark.
Yeah.
of
And then 2OT was pretty solid too.
fantastic
Yeah.
cars. So like that's the thing is like that was a great engine. Yeah, the 2-liter turbo was fantastic too. So we had juice, we had movement, and then they bring us this hybrid thing. And while the new Accord with its sport touring trim and the hybrid powertrain is just plush and gorgeous and insulated and good sound system, and it's a really, it's an overused statement, but it's a really nice place to be.
Yeah, totally.
It's a great car to drive, but it just doesn't have the legs that the previous Accord had. But
Right.
in hybrid Civic, that's where it all came together because you get the same power that you were getting in the CRV
Right.
and the Accord, but it's a little bit lighter.
Right.
It's like, oh, this is where you always belonged.
Yeah, you get the horsepower you kind of want. You get the torque you didn't know you wanted in that platform. And you get crazy efficiency, especially if you get that car in a hatchback. Now you get immense levels of practicality, right? Which is where I think the Prelude is so interesting. I had a long conversation the other day with somebody about why this car exists. And if you remember like 15 years ago, right? Maybe longer. time is but a construct. We had Civic, we had FRS, all that stuff. We didn't 15 years. Anyway, I digress. We had Camry Solara. We had Accord Coupe. We had these large, kind of plush, what I would say like midlife crisis to older individual coupes that did fine. They were never volume drivers, but they did fine. Now, those cars don't exist, but those buyers are starting to exist again. Does that mean Prelude is going to be the #1 bestseller from Honda? No.
But it doesn't need to be, because the dearth of coupes, sporty coupes, means that even if the take rate of these things is kind of low, there's still probably more people to take it, because
100%.
they
100%.
don't have options. There's no other option.
Yeah, because the person that wanted a Camry Solara Accord Coupe isn't necessarily buying GR86 or Miata.
No.
So the Prelude makes sense. And then you get the Honda diehard that this thing will probably be pretty dang good to drive because it's got the CTR bits where it matters.
Yeah, so this is the thing. Okay, this is where I'm really interested in this car. Because first of all, I'm excited that they badged it as a Honda, not as an Acura.
Yes.
Which is what gives me this sub $40,000 hope.
Yeah, I want this thing to be 35. I don't think it gets there, but I really, really want it to get there.
I would say if it's under 37.5, I'll be shocked.
I'll say it on this. I'll buy one if it's under 37, 100%.
But knowing Honda, they're brave about pricing. They are not afraid to put something up and say, nope, it's 41. And everyone's and they'll say exactly what you said. I'm out. Well, and 6 months later, they're in.
Yeah, 100%.
So they do it. It would probably hold value. But what's very exciting about this is that they're playing the Honda game where there's no superlatives. The Prelude will not be the most anything. It will not. It simply will not. It will not be the most powerful. It won't be the lightest. It won't be the this, the that, whatever. However, I bet this package is going to scream, because I love, like I said, Civic Hybrid. Pair that with the suspension that's on my Civic Type R. Are you kidding me?
And this new like transmission thing, which if they make it be or behave like Ioniq 5N, I'm double, triple, quadra in.
Right, because this has some sort of like, it mimics a manual with paddles or something.
Blips, downshifts, like all that shit, you know? Like it seems very cheesy, and it certainly is. And for Honda, who usually use themselves as like above the cheesiness, right? Introducing that element into this means to me, it's almost like iPhone when they introduce Android features, right? Like all the things that came out on the iPhone 17 that just dropped probably have been on Samsung's since the introduction of the smartphone.
100%.
Okay, we've heard it a million times. But when Apple introduces it, it tends to be a little more thought out usually, right? So Honda, I'm hoping it's the same thing. Like this S Plus shift thing or whatever the hell they're calling it. Hopefully it works really dang good, because then for me, you're looking at something that's probably going to get 40 to 45 mpg, have a good ride when you want it, and be mildly engaging when you're in some back roads too, because that Civic Type R suspension brakes is dang good.
It's really good.
So I'm into this thing.
They're already kind of doing the fake shift thing anyway, because they did not take the old school CVT approach of like wind it out to redline and it sits there the whole time.
Nissan vibe,
right. So like, despite the fact this doesn't have a transmission, we'll be clear, it's eCVT, which everyone goes, no, that means it's a CVT. No, it's not. It's just running off that motor.
Yep.
And when occasionally it's at the right speed under the right load at like 65 to 72 miles an hour or whatever, it'll direct drive from the engine. That's the only kind of coupling. So that 2-liter Atkinson cycle engine never does anything except charge the battery to power the motor that powers the wheels, unless it's occasionally, under the right circumstances, directly powering the front wheels. But when you floor it in those cars, they do go wah, 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 and it does change RPM.
Right.
I don't think there's any like actual reason to be other than to please or satisfy some itch for a driver.
100%. It's for me. For you that like hates the drone and pays very close attention to engine rev shift instead of just optimal RPM because engineer best.
And the only reason this bothers me is because I know the car could be faster if it didn't do that, because you feel the lag. You actually feel it slow down on that quote unquote shift, where I'm like, well, we would actually be going faster. You're creating a problem that doesn't exist.
Right. That's a good point. And I mean, so then this all comes back to the price. If this thing is, call it 40,
sure,
like we were talking about earlier, what else are you getting that kind of scratches all these itches for that 40 grand? If you look at the coupe market, you have base Nissan Z, 40 grand. You have 2-liter Supra, which no longer exists, 40 grand. You have EcoBoost Mustang, which is in that realm, right? Like, you're not scratching the itches the Prelude provides. Now, the argument is, it's not as fast as any of those. It's not as cool as any of those. It's not as fun to drive as any of those. Well, contrary to popular belief, different markets exist for the automobile.
Isn't it amazing how car people love to be like, well, if you think this, then you're an idiot.
Yeah. Totally. It's the reason why the S-Class exists and the Panamera exists. They're both sedans, but they do wildly different things.
In my opinion, I see bad cars on the road every day. People are buying them. Right. They're very happy with their bad cars as far as I see them. So I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just saying there's an ass for every seat.
Sure.
And it's pretty rare that a Honda will fail.
Yeah.
I mean, like, statistically, I just don't think that's going to occur.
Yeah. What's the most recent failure I can think of from Honda is like the Cross Tour thing. The Accord.
Maybe a ZDX.
Yeah, the Honda ZDX, the Cross Tour, even the ZDX as well. But even then, that was just 5 years too soon. It wasn't that they failed. It was that they mistimed the release in the market.
Yeah, and now I look at those. Every time, when I see a ZDX, it gets a photo from me.
They're cool.
I'm like, holy shit.
They're cool.
Rad. And a Cross Tour, I'm like, that's a real one.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
It's a big frumpy rear, but whatever.
Yeah, the weighting is all off on that car. But I think that the point for me is that this will be a comfortable 2+2, and it is a 2+2, which again, not many of them exist anymore that are coupes. It'll probably get north of 40 miles to the gallon, and it's a dang hatchback.
It's handsome.
So it'll have some practicality as well. Like, this is a really cool daily driver for a lot of people, and I'm into it. I'm super duper into it.
Do we think that this translates into a like an RSX resurrection? Because we have Integra, but Integra doesn't have RSX vibes.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you were to Acura-ify a Prelude, it ends up being an RSX.
Yeah, if they didn't just use that damn nameplate for an EV SUV.
I know. And I as I was saying it, I was like, wait, their marketing team already botched it for me.
Yeah, which brutal.
Not botched, but like they're using their cachet.
Sure.
I get it.
It's Mustang Mach-E, right?
I get it. Yeah. But like, I just think like it feels like these things were occurring so simultaneously that like, how does this not become the RSX in an Acura badge?
Yeah, especially when, argument for Mach-E makes more sense because Mustang has so much weight. But RSX was like, what, a 4 or 5 year product run? Like, there's not much weight there.
It only means something to us.
Right.
Like,
and I'm not the person buying an EV SUV compact like
correct.
that,
Yeah, so. And I don't know that. I don't know.
Actually, I am, but anyway.
You're a dad. You're like, actually, that's pretty convenient.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah. Your reason to be for cars has changed a little bit too because of that. But all right, I want to switch gears a little bit and maintain the hybrid thought.
Okay.
Because I have just come back from a weekend with the Lars Anderson Auto Museum on their moto tour through Vermont and New Hampshire. It happened to coincide with the lovely people at Porsche, shout out to Luke, for tossing me a loaner, a 992.2 Carrera GTS two-wheel drive convertible.
GTS is two-wheel drive?
You can get a Ford GTS.
Yes, they have the slot machine of names where you just assign
to
things.
Be fair, I want you to look at the back of the key.
Okay.
What does that say?
It says Carrera 4 GTS.
Yes, it is not.
So you'd be led to believe it's all-wheel drive.
I can assure you it is driving nothing to the front wheels.
Cool. Okay, so Dot 2 is already on lots.
Dot 2 is on lots.
Wow.
They are moving. Okay, this is all right, when Dot 2, I know everyone's like, oh my God, we're going to talk about Porsches. I will get through it. I promise.
People love Porsches.
They love Porsches. Yeah. All right, the reason I need to talk about this is because when Dot 2 came out, they like missold it to me.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
The reason why is because they said, look it, and they said, okay, so here's the appearance. And everyone went, they got rid of like the daytime running lights on the bottom, like of the bumpers. There's just some changes. Even the exhaust on the bumper is fake. So there's a gap between the actual exhaust and then the holes that you see.
Thanks, I hate it.
Yeah, that's a bummer, right?
What, are they taking it from Audi, the Q5? Yeah, anyway.
So these are the things we were seeing.
Yeah, right.
And then they're like, but just wait for the interior. And we're like, okay. And then it's like, our little key thing is gone. So now we have a button push to start. Kind of a bummer.
Yep.
Okay. But, we saw that coming. But then a screen. No tachometer.
Oh.
And that was a hard pill to swallow.
Is it just Taycan instrument cluster?
Yeah, pretty much.
Interesting.
It looks just like that. So that's where they kind of lost me when the .2 launched.
Yeah.
Okay. So then they teased this and everyone's just like kind of shitting on these things. They're like, this is a bummer. That's a bummer. Oh, what about the good old days? I got to go buy the last of the .1s.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. And I'm like, okay, I get it a little bit. I'm like, man, if you just bought a .1, you're not going to be bummed that the .2 came out.
Yep.
You're going to be like, I got a TAC.
Yep.
Great. Okay. But then they sort of like soft launched like this like T hybrid system for the GTS. It doesn't come on anything other than the GTS until like literally 3 days ago where they announced the Turbo and Turbo S.
Right.
We'll talk about that in a second
Yes.
too. But the GTS used to be in every iteration of the Carrera, it was kind of just a convenient options package. It was 10 millimeters lower. It had fancy wheels. Maybe you get some center locks. It had black trim. It had a standard like Alcantara wheel or things like that, where like it was something that you could take a Carrera S, you could tick the boxes, and it would do the same thing as a GTS just for slightly more. So you would buy a GTS.
Yeah, it's like the M340i
Bingo.
of Porsche. Yeah.
You just bought it because it was the easier and cheaper way to get into an options package that you were going to get anyway.
Right.
And you might as well have a GTS badge on it because it's probably going to hold better value.
Yeah.
Right. And it tells people something. Right. But what the GTS never, ever, ever was actually like a GT car. It's not a GT car. It's a GTS. It's never appealed to me.
Right.
I've never cared. Until now.
Oh.
My God. Okay, so the new T hybrid system is only available on the GTS. You cannot get this powertrain on the regular Carrera S.
Finally made it special.
What this is, it's so magical. So, previous car, 3-liter twin turbo. We're very familiar with this car
Yeah,
because it pretty much debuted in 991.2. So I didn't like that. I like the 3.8. I was recommending people to go 991.1 for years. I still am, honestly, until now.
Naturally aspirated.
Yes,
Sounds insane.
Sounds insane. And like the turbo lag of the 3-liter twin turbo, everyone loves to be like, there's no lag. But there is, okay?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. It's because when I'm in 6th gear on the highway doing 75 and I got to go around someone, I lean into the throttle and I go, I got to abort. I didn't get the juice. I got to downshift a couple gears. It's the same. Even in a naturally aspirated engine, you can get that. E92 M3. It has 400 horsepower, over 7,000 RPM.
Right.
So if I'm at 3,500 RPM and I want to make a pass, I got to downshift like 3 gears. You don't have to do this anymore because what they've done is they've taken this 3-liter block. They have bored and stroked it to 3.6 liters.
Jeez.
We're back to a 3.6. Then they remove the 2 turbos and install a big single. Okay. And it has no wastegate. So this does a couple things. It's a hybrid system. So I'll see if I can do this in a proper sequence. So we'll start with the turbo. There is a motor inside the turbo.
Okay.
That motor can do 2 things. It can spool the turbo.
Okay.
And it can regenerate energy and recuperate energy from the inertia that the turbine is creating, that it has after it's been spooled. So imagine you're driving down the road. You're at like 1,500 RPM. You go, we gotta add some juice. You ask for power. Instantaneously, without exhaust gases, this turbo is spooled and pressurized and waiting for you to crack that throttle and release that pressurized intake charge into the engine.
Wow.
So you have a lot of juice.
Liftoff.
Immediately.
Yeah.
It's just gone. You're just going. And it's so damn incredible because it makes this 3.6 liter feel like you're in a 7 liter Chevy engine or something.
I'm not trying to minimize this, I promise.
Go for
Is
it.
Porsche's attempt at hybrid here like Lexus hybrid, where it's meant to accentuate performance or fill lapses of existing powertrain? Or is it like also a little bit of that, but increase efficiency too? So this thing's getting like 30 miles to the gallon or something random.
Okay, so this is the thing. This is where they're not selling this car correctly to me.
The fact that I don't know this, by the way,
Yes.
I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but like that says something that it's not apparent to me.
I'm thrilled you don't know this. So they have been basically touting this as a performance adder. Okay. I drove highway miles for 240 miles from my house to Stowe, Vermont on Saturday.
Yep.
I got 29 miles per gallon
Whoa.
at like 75, 77 miles an hour. Like I didn't go really
Which
over
like
80.
also isn't where hybrid shines
No.
typically. So that's pretty cool.
I was like, holy shit, it has a 22.1 gallon fuel tank too. So that means if you just did straight highway 75 miles an hour, you're over 600 miles of range.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Insane. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. So yes, for performance, but I'm recognizing now that it's got all these great, like, power, these efficiency gains.
Right.
Well, there's another motor in this hybrid system, and that's the typical hybrid system we're used to, like a mild hybrid system where you would have a motor between the engine and the transmission. So it's a new PDK that integrates a motor in the PDK. Okay, it's an 8-speed, and that can do two things. That one can start the engine because there's no conventional starter motor in this car.
Okay,
so that starts the engine, and two, it can torque fill. So when you get on throttle and you go through some gears, the GTS is PDK only, so this only works this way. You wind it out, you crack the throttle, it's already pressurized, you are moving. Now, you transition from like, okay, it's been pressurized by the motor, the little electric motor, to now you've introduced exhaust gases as the revs come up, and now it can just generate boost as a normal turbo. Goes to red line. Shift. Between the shifts, there is no disruption because there's about 100 horsepower or something, or 100 pound-feet of torque generated by that motor in the transmission that fills the gap between shifts as if PDK wasn't fast enough already.
Wow.
And now it basically accelerates as if it's on a CVT. It's seamless. It's insane because it never lets up. It just goes. And this has a performance adder in two ways. One, it's faster.
Right.
Two, it doesn't disrupt the car. So if you're shifting mid-corner, if you're doing like the car is never upset. It just continues going because there's no like disruption or torque hit to the wheels. It's mind-blowing.
Which makes perfect sense why this is now in turbo also.
Yes. So there's some tricky, cool things that go along with this too, because you end up with 552 horsepower, 417 pound-feet of torque, I believe, are the specs on it, right? It's very fast, but the way it's delivered and the level of the power band is now just the widest.
It's a plateau.
It's absurd. It's like 1200 RPM, go. Like it doesn't matter. And I'm just finding this to be like really fascinating, and I'm really into it because it's a mid-cycle refresh. This is a facelift powertrain. This is revolutionary.
So how does this translate to day-to-day putt-putting around, right? Because I can totally see you're on ramp, you're blasting it, you're coming out of a corner. Sorry, I'm hitting my hand against the table, but you're coming out of a corner.
Yep.
This is awesome. That power fill feels crazy, but how does that system translate to like stop go traffic?
Very easy. Imagine it's kind of almost like an electric car, but ice. Like it just has that. That's the closest I could compare it to, because it just goes. Now, the other side of it is there's no belts. There's no serpentine belt. There's nothing in this car that it's all through this new electrical system, and it's a 400 volt system.
Okay.
So this means that it can also operate other things faster. The one moment I've ever had my ringer on.
I texted you. Could you imagine?
Insane. So it's funny.
The sabotage is from me. That would be awesome.
So there's no belts. It's all through this system. And now PASM and what is it? Porsche Dynamic Chassis Control, PDCC.
Yeah.
These things now operate on this high voltage system instead of a 12 volt system, so they can operate faster.
Oh my goodness.
They can do things quicker. Even the nose lift is like,
wow.
So it's just, there's so many like weird little magical treats that come along with this car that I kind of discovered as I was driving it.
So lots of quality of life improvements outside of just performance.
Yes. So I'm like, you know what? I will happily sacrifice that tachometer for this dot 2. And now the GTS has a reason to be.
Yep.
I also don't see it as, well, you couldn't afford a GT car or a turbo. Who needs it? This is the one I'm driving is basically a convertible GT2. It's the most ridiculous thing ever.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Right, because it's rear wheel drive also.
And in traffic, because you have this instant torque all the time, it's just easy. Like, you know, the level of like audacity you have to like cut through traffic in a high revving, like low torque engine or a really like laggy turbo system. Like you kind of have to, you look like a jerk when you're doing this because you're having to make crazy moves.
Right.
In this car, it's kind of that Tesla thing where you just like, oh, I want to be over here. So you lean on it and you're gone and no one's the wiser.
Zip zoop, yeah.
Zip zoop.
Yeah. That's so where does this thing price now? Is this like $150? I'm saying before you put leather on the air vents.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I want to say it's like 160. I know the one that's tested I have is 178, and it doesn't have a lot of options.
Okay.
I don't even have carbon ceramics on that.
Okay, got it.
And the new carbon ceramics are 10 pistons. So they're like, they're the big boys now. So, but yeah, and it's on like 5 lugs. It's not on center locks. So you're not going to have that silliness where you're like, oh, my center locks look so cool until you go to like swap the wheels.
Yeah, right.
Or like your wheel guy is like, I can't do this. What are you talking about?
So that for $150, $160, hell, even the one you have outside, that's pretty solid.
Yes, I agree. I think it's high, but it's not unreasonable, especially because a GT3 is 222 now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, look, I hate myself for saying 160 grand is like a good deal. Right. But for everything that you described, especially when used 911 is priced how it is. I know someone that just bought 992.1T, granted manual Ruby Star car, so like a little cooler option list wise, but they paid 110, 120, and that's a used car, right? So when you're starting to get up there, an additional 10, 20, 30, 40 grand is like me saying 5 or 6 in a GTI.
100%. I agree 100%. The problem now, I think this thing's going to sell like crazy because they introduced the turbo. Because so the new 911 Turbo will have 2 of these big turbos instead of 1.
Oh, Jesus.
701 or 702 horsepower, somewhere in that realm. And 0 to 60 in like I want to say 2.6 or something like that. Why not? Sure. But also, it's funny, when I saw that number, I said, meh, because I drove the Turbo GT Taycan.
Oh my God.
1.9
that thing must be absurd.
1,019 horsepower, 1.9 seconds.
Zoinks.
It ruins your life. Like that car, like it injured me.
Yeah.
It emotionally scarred me. I'm like,
it's a super random tangent, super fast.
Please.
When people come to me and ask for electric vehicle recommendations in general, the one thing that I say to all of them is floor it once. Like when you're driving it, do your thing, floor it once, but that's it.
Yeah.
For the rest of the test drive it like a normal vehicle, because I know so many people that on their initial test drive for any electric vehicle, Taycan, Lucid, whatever, floor it all the time and are like, ha ha ha, this is so much fun. And then 6 months, 8 months, 9 months down the road, that novelty wears off very quickly.
And you're left with a car.
Right.
So, and you better like that car.
Right. So if you're driving an electric vehicle, drive it like an NPC.
Yes.
And understand if you like that experience, which, by the way, is the exact opposite advice I would give if someone was going to like buy a Kona or like buy a whatever Civic. You know what I mean? So yeah, that Taycan GT must have been mental.
Like, and so this new turbo is going to be just like absolutely out of this realm fast.
That's crazy.
And the pricing of that is like $270.
Yeah, but those were always weird, right? Because like turbo claimed to have a sticker of like 180 to 200.
No one
but
ever
they were
did that.
Never there. So might as well just say the sticker is 240 at this point.
But now it's going to be, with options, you're probably looking at like $300.
Crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
crazy.
So you're basically a hundo, more than 100 over this GTS. And,
Good point.
And
Yeah.
this is the very first time, and I haven't driven it yet. And I know I'm going to very much like it when I drive the turbo.
no question.
Let's be honest here. I'm not trying to say this is one of the first times, like sight unseen, you don't need it.
Yeah.
The GTS is going to do it.
992, 991, those past two generations of turbo have just been so bonkers.
Crazy.
Right? That the thought that you need more
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me.
I think the more narrow power band of those cars probably made them safer because
Good point.
Now you're gonna have like legitimately all the torque from I think 2,000 or 2,300 RPM in that car. It's gonna be nuts.
At what point do we course correct to improve the experience and not the stat line?
I think that's what they're doing at the same time. But this is where Porsche, so this is the thing. I feel like Honda is always only improving experience. They don't like to improve stat line.
Yeah, evident by the Civic Si still having 200 horsepower.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas like Porsche, I feel like does them in tandem. Porsche is one of the few companies that does that together. Whereas like maybe you could argue that Ferrari likes to improve stat line and not necessarily experience.
Yeah, because vanity is just, I get it, right? I get it. The new Testarossa just dropped. Think what you will. I think it's ugly, but whatever.
I haven't even seen this.
Yeah.
I go away for 3 days and I miss a Testarossa.
It just looks like an SF90 with more aero.
That's upsetting.
Right? You know, it's their new design language, which like I don't. The moment Pininfarina leaves Ferrari, they lose their way design wise. But that's
it's crazy. But yeah, I think this new car is going to be a real showstopper for some people. The pricing is weird, but I think they're allowed to do it. And I had this take on the GT3 because, okay, sure, you go from what was a GT3 in the previous generation? Like base price, maybe 170, 180, something like that.
Under 2 for sure.
So you bring it up to 222. That's a massive leap. Okay, that's like
Percentage-wise, that's huge.
$50,000.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Porsche can do this because if they can't fulfill the orders, so let's say they can produce 100 cars. Let's just use simple numbers. They can produce 100 cars and they get 900 orders. Well, if you double the price and they get 400 orders, they still sold 100 cars.
Right.
Nothing changed for them except their profit margin.
Right. Yeah, and to your earlier point about how Porsche is kind of doing both experience and power at the same time, they aren't just retooling existing hardware and saying pay more. Like the new turbo, the new GT3, the new GT3 RS, all these cars are substantially different than the vehicles they're replacing.
Yes.
Yes, it does command a large price jump because now you have all the electric stuff. Now you have the 2 different turbos. Now you have the blah, 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 whatever it is. So it starts to make more sense versus some other cars where you slap a bumper, you slap a different seat, you put a different instrument cluster, you try to charge 10, 20 grand more. I'm like, well, what are we doing? You know?
Yeah, I'm with you. And now there's a penalty here because they weigh more. I mean, there's a 1.9 kilowatt hour battery up front in the front, which as far as I can tell does not impact the luggage space because I was fine there. I didn't have any issues this weekend. And I brought a ton of shit. I brought like too much stuff. Because when I'm not flying, I just start throwing things in cars.
If there's space, you
I'm
fill
like,
it.
4 pairs of shoes?
Yep.
What if we go hiking?
Yep.
We didn't go hiking.
Hey, but you were ready.
I was ready. So I had everything, and it weighs a little more. It's a 110-pound weight penalty on the GTS.
Okay.
I want to say the turbo, it's like maybe 3,800 pounds. It's heavy for a 911.
Remember when R35 got so much flack for being that size? Granted, no EV stuff, but
It's
whatever.
true. And they are good at masking weight because Taycan.
Yep.
Dude, I've driven Taycans on tracks and they're psychotic.
Oh, I can imagine.
And you're like, oh, because at first you go, this is 4,500 pounds or whatever the heck it is. And then you drive it on a track and you're like, never mind.
Yeah.
I mean, you roast tires and brakes, but like that's about it. Still high handles. So all I would say is, yes, the purist in me wants lighter, more nimble, more tactile, more this, more that. These cars, you got to drive them because I think there's just something to these cars that at least now, even if you're not a fan of electric powertrains, maybe even if you're not a fan of like weight and all this stuff, you will find joy in these cars. Like there is something there.
And to be frank, like who cares if this thing weighs what it weighs, right? Because like on the occasional back road, left, right brake, pull into your driveway, yeah, you might feel the weight for a second, but like it never sits with you that this thing's super heavy, and no one's taking a convertible Carrera GTS to a track.
Not happening.
So
now what's all I want to do? But
fair point. But the reason, like, who cares if it weighs a little more? I know that sounds horrible to say, but I don't want my 911T to weigh 4,000 pounds.
Yes.
I don't care if my GTS weighs 4,000 pounds now.
So far, what I can tell, doesn't appear that Carrera S, Carrera T are getting this technology. So I haven't done enough research on what they're doing, but
maybe like 993 or whatever.
Sure.
They can't call it 993 anymore, but like whatever they call the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what they're doing on this, but either way, all I know is that what they've done with this T hybrid system was like totally out of left field for me. I had heard about it. I kind of didn't pay attention because I was like, whatever. And then I drove it and I'm like, what on earth? This is nuts. You gotta experience this one. So way crazier, way cooler, way more bizarre than I could have ever imagined. And it's tuned right, because the idea that you can make this thing and actually have it operate the way you want it to operate, like nuts. It's all in the tuning, and it drives like a car despite this wild technology. And now you basically have the most advanced, like, streetable anti-lag imaginable, and it doesn't like wake the neighbors with gunshots like a Group B rally car.
Yeah, which like I thought 992 turbo already achieved.
Yeah.
So like to do that but better. This is wild.
This is what's funny is everyone for the past 2 generations has been, oh my God, there's no turbo lag. I'm like, there's turbo lag. Or PDK is so fast you can't even tell that it's shifting. I'm like, I can definitely tell it's shifting. And every generation they say, oh, well, this one's better. It's like, well, yeah, but you said the last one didn't have any lag. This is the first time where I'm like pretty lagless, and I'm not really feeling anything in these shifts. But yeah, this 8-speed PDK is really good. I felt a couple clunks.
Okay.
Very rarely, where it seemed to like get confused of what to do.
Interesting.
Where it would be like and do a thing, and you're like, oh, okay, what was that? And I got one hard shift. It was like a 3-4 going up a hill on ramp kind of thing.
Okay.
But that was it. So I don't know. Maybe it's just some things to massage out of these cars, tuning wise or whatever. It's new. I know the Topher had experienced the same thing.
Okay.
I seemingly experienced it less.
Interesting.
So maybe he just had a more early model or something.
Sure. I can imagine there's edge cases where this transmission shows colors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that's all I have on Porsche. We did too much on Porsche. What else do we got? What else is new and exciting?
I am in an interesting situation driveway wise.
Yes.
That I'm very curious your take on.
Okay.
So I am not the average American in the sense that I have one child. Love him. He's the best. But I currently have a Rivian R1S.
Okay.
3-row, big honking EV SUV. I adore it. I think it's one of the best products on the market. By the way, I have a base model. I think for 7580, you're not finding a better 3-row SUV, never mind EV.
Agreed, because 7580, you're in like GX territory.
Right.
I mean, that's
fine.
Yeah.
Like, this thing crushes them.
So
Sorry.
despite being an EV, it's not like overpriced.
Yes.
Because the market in the ICE world is the same price.
Right. And you can get tri-motor, quad motor. You don't need it. The dual motor has like 600 horsepower. It's plenty fast. It's good.
Yes.
Right. So anyway, to your earlier point about 911, where you're just filling space and you overpacked, I'm doing the same thing with this thing, right? We have a frunk that I keep the stroller in. And because the stroller is in the frunk, I have a full trunk full of just rando garbage.
Yes.
The 3rd row seats are down, so there's more rando garbage. I'm getting rid of this thing. It's too big. I don't need it. My replacement for it, though, is 2 different options, okay? Option number 1 is both of them are new. Mazda 3 hatch manual.
Okay.
Option number 2 is Volkswagen GTI, which is only DSG now for the 2025 model year. They don't make manual anymore.
Which I would rather have a DSG GTI, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm not a huge, the big blunder, slight sidetrack, is that most cars that come in a manual are like not great manuals anymore.
That's fair. Yeah, Volkswagen isn't known for their like feel.
Yeah, so
I
like
don't disagree.
It's like the opposite. So it's like oh, even Porsche, they're like, oh look, I mean like a GT3 is good, but like once you go to that 7-speed and the non-GT cars, I'm kind of like just give me the PDK, right?
Yep.
So I feel the same way about the GTI. Where like,
Okay.
no, just give me the DSG, just let me ride that out.
The interesting stat about GTI was that it had a 50% take rate for manuals in the US.
I believe that.
But because globally it didn't, they were just like, no more.
Axe it. So it's between those two cars.
The rando third option is Maverick Lobo, but we can
Nope,
keep that
I'm
in
out.
the garbage.
I drove it the other day in Michigan, and it's a fine thing.
Yeah.
But it is a work truck.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
I got in and the other problem was the juxtaposition. I was driving like a GLC 63S or something.
Oh, Jesus, okay.
And then immediately was like, okay, we're swapping, and I got in a Lobo, and what a stark.
Right.
It
didn't have a chance.
I went from the Four Seasons to the Red Roof Inn, like
Right.
on a highway side. Like it was rough.
Yeah, fair point.
So in that regard, it's a little unfair.
Garbage.
Yeah, no.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
It was good. I thought and it handles pretty well.
Yeah.
They don't put enough tire on it because
yeah.
I was trying to follow Amos in like the Mercedes, and I had to carry like 20 miles an hour slower, and I was
Hell yeah.
still understeering into this
Right.
corner. I was like, okay, I
Totally.
think we're but fine automobile, but I think let's play Mazda versus GTI.
Sure. Yeah.
So the enthusiast in me, the spiritual like need for Mazda,
Right.
is 100%
Right.
on the Mazda side.
Okay.
I've never really owned or lived with a Mazda though,
Me neither.
and maybe that's worth it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
Fair
worth
point.
the take. Because I think what Mazda does really well, the same way, this is a weird take, the same way Ram trucks are very luxurious.
Yes.
People don't know this.
Right.
Maybe they do, but I didn't know this.
Yeah, me neither.
Ram trucks are really nice. I was like, oh, this is more S-Class than like work truck.
The new kit is solid.
You get in a Laramie and you're like, shit.
Right. Never mind, like, what's the top one? Tungsten or something like that?
Yes. Yeah. So their naming culture is very difficult for me.
Sure. Well, Platinum was taken, so you gotta name something else.
I do my best. But I was so fascinated by the luxury of that Ram, and I think Mazda kind of does that too, where they're like,
Yeah.
oh, like, you know, by the way, we're gonna put you in a nice place.
Right.
You're gonna feel like everything you touch is premium and good. Like you're gonna have like a good leather wrap steering wheel. Whereas Volkswagen went the other direction for a little while. I think maybe they're course correcting, but they went like, these idiots will drive anything.
Right.
And they said, we're going to use like the cheapest plastics. We're going to go to the lowest bidder on all of our suppliers, and we're going to give them whatever. These idiots love GTIs. As long as it says GTI, they'll buy it. Well, that wasn't the case.
Right.
And people really walked away from Volkswagen in the past like 2 years, 3
Yeah.
years. But the American hatchback loving Volkswagen guy that I am, I still really like GTIs.
Yeah.
And they're growing on me the same way an M2 is starting to grow
Right.
on me a little bit. And so I saw one. I know that I'm like, oh shoot, I like this car because I took a picture of one, and then I didn't even post it because I thought, who the fuck cares that I saw a GTI?
Yeah,
but I
right.
kind of like the Mark 8 now. It's
Yeah.
starting to grow on me a little bit aesthetically.
Right.
And because no one bought them, so when you see it, it's
They're
a
not
treat.
around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you never
agreed.
see them. So there's something to that. To me, I think if I were trying the like let's make like an attempt here, I would probably go Mazda.
Okay. So I drove both of them in the last 7 days. The interesting thing that I discovered was that the Mazda appears more premium. And maybe this is obvious, but seeing it in reality was interesting. The Mazda appears more premium, swoopy interior, you sit in it, you feel nice, but the Volkswagen is more premium, meaning like closed door, thunk, how it's screwed together, more solid. There isn't as much center console play if you do I forgot which reviewer like holds it and just like shifts it around. Like,
Yeah, whistling diesel.
yeah, right. Yeah, if you do the durability test,
Yeah.
it's totally fine.
Now, when you jump it,
Yeah. I forgot to do that on the test drive. That's my fault.
Damn it.
That said, the manual transmission in the Mazda, because you get the naturally aspirated with the manual, you don't get the 2.5 turbo, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
But whatever. It's a Miata.
okay.
It is the same transmission feel as an ND Miata. It has similar pep to an ND Miata in terms of like you feel like you're going fast, but you're not actually going fast. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that same kind of feel. The GTI is obviously faster.
quick.
And it's a bank vault on the highway, as they've always been.
Ooh, all right.
So that's my problem here, right? Is like the GTI feels better, the Mazda looks better, and is manual, and it's a decent manual.
What's weird about that is that the like elder statesman we're becoming,
right,
tells me I want the appearance of that Mazda, but I actually want the GTI.
Yeah.
So
that is and to make matters more complex, is the Mazda is 30 grand. The GTI is like 31.5.
But
so they're 1,500 different.
Yeah. Is that after incentives on the Volkswagen?
That's after me,
negotiating.
Yeah, saying like, hey, I need some money off or whatever.
Sure.
I didn't go too crazy, but that's like $3,000 off the Mazda, 3,500 off the GTI.
What's the residual on a GTI? Like, are they holding any value or are they just dumping?
You know what's funny? The manuals are so good in value. It's insane for obvious reasons. 2024 was the last year for the foreseeable future. So those are trading at the same price almost as to what they were new.
Interesting.
Automatic ones still too, same thing. The Mazda though, surprisingly good. There's for example, there's a 2022 with 80,000 miles locally, 80, and it's 22 grand. Right? That's 8,000 off sticker, which is a lot of money, but that's 80,000 miles on that thing.
Yeah.
So like that also is pretty good. It's not a Subaru in the Northeast. It's not a Tacoma in the Northeast, but it's pretty good,
I don't know, man. Like the part of me when there's a restaurant down the street that is struggling and you're like, oh, we should really eat there more. And then you just don't. And then it closes and you're like, damn, that's a real shame.
I'm the problem.
That's Mazda.
Yeah.
Like what we should be doing is supporting Mazda with money.
It's a fair point.
Give Mazda money. But at the same time, you're just like, let's go to Sorrento's. And you go to the other restaurant. And that's when, so I don't know. I think I know that like if I'm talking about what do I want out of a car, the GTI experience is probably more it. Because I do want that bank vault highway thing. Like even my Honda, I'm like, it's a little loud on the road.
Yeah, a little windy.
Yeah. Whereas like, I don't know, I drive the Lexus and I'm just like, this is luxury.
Right. Or like Golf R is
100%.
probably just like a space machine.
And they are really fast. And you don't always want to support the evil empire of Volkswagen.
Fair point.
And so, yeah, I don't know. This is a tricky one because I think like the heart goes with the Mazda, the brain goes with the Volkswagen.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, we'll see where I end up. I'm probably knowing me, there's a world where like today I leave this podcast, make a deal and make the change. So I'll let you know where I end up. But that's my current struggle. It's a good one, right? Like I'm not sitting here saying like, oh my God, I have to choose between a turbo front wheel drive with a diff and adaptive suspension or a manual with a nice interior.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting one to go from an $80,000 3-row premium EV SUV to a $30,000 effectively economy hatchback. But here we are.
Well, that's the nice thing about where we are in the car world right now. And you're the one who always reminds me that like things aren't so bad.
Yeah.
Like we're doing okay. And it's because I very regularly go from $400,000 luxury cars to my Honda.
True.
And I never am sad. I never get in my Honda and think, oh God, like I'm so poor.
Yeah.
I usually am like, I love this car. So I think that's really important because that wasn't the case in the 90s or the early 2000s. Like if you got out of a Rolls Royce in 2008 and then got in, or 2006 and then got into like a Corolla, you would feel it.
Yeah, that 4-speed automatic.
You'd be a real sad puppy.
100%.
You'd be like, I need to make more money. I need to scam old people.
Yes.
That's what you would.
Yes.
You would start scamming old people.
Do you need life insurance? How much do you need?
Now, what can I interest you in a reverse mortgage?
Right.
That's the ticket.
Yes.
Okay. And even Tom Selleck is on that bandwagon because he needs a Phantom. Probably.
Sell out.
Yep. Yeah, what a
Darn
jerk.
it.
What a jerk.
Is there anything you're excited for coming up? I know 911 is pretty exciting that you're driving right now.
Dude,
but
I don't know. I have the hardest time following the market. The market follows me. I get phone calls and someone says, hey, come drive this thing. I'm like, oh, neat. What is it? So that's what happened with the Ram because I knew they were bringing back the V8.
Right.
But they didn't really bring back the V8. They just put it back in the car.
Super cool how they're doing it too, where they're like, now we're doing a truck team. Like we're coming back to NASCAR. We forgot about America. We're America again. Look at us. I love it.
So regardless of anyone's opinion of the way this occurred, I have to give the Ram team at Stellantis so much credit because they didn't launch this car boring. They were like, hey, come to Michigan, come to the Chelsea Proving Grounds. And I was like, okay, so like, what are we going to do? They're like, you're going to love it.
That's cool.
They just gave us like an autocross course. They gave us this like horseshoe shaped, like half mile, like runway,
Okay.
banked U-turn,
Okay.
and then half mile runway. And they're like, yeah, go do whatever you want. So I'm like, like the only rule was you need a helmet over 110 miles an hour.
Heard.
So I'm like,
Strap that bad Larry on.
so I'm like, so I just like, you just like go and grab a car and go do like 0 to 100 to zeros. And then go back to 80, throw it up on a banked corner, and then stand on the brakes and just like release rubber onto the pavement.
Hilarious.
It was so funny. And the point of the truck event was to show off these V8s, but they also brought their diesel like 2500 HD trucks.
Yep.
So I'm like, I'm not even, I filmed it, but like not for YouTube.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, no one's ever going to give me a banked corner with a 110 mile an hour speed limit.
Yeah, and a 2500 pickup.
Yeah. So I like fucking sent it on a banked corner and then just stood on the brakes because I was like, what does this do from 100 to 0?
Yeah.
Like,
was Freebird playing in your head as you were doing? Because like literally as you're doing that, in my mind, I'm like, well, just, like that was playing. It was
I
great.
like couldn't believe it. And then they had this great off-road course, and they're hilarious because like sometimes you do press events where they're still a little holier than thou about like we're gonna do this, but like, oh, we're gonna go down this trail, but make sure you don't get any scratches or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Like we drove this off-road trail. It's just like nailing the car with like all these branches. I'm like, okay. They're like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll buff out.
I'm like, yeah, can I go through this? Absolutely. Okay, great. We do like, now we're going to do a breakover angle test. I'm like, that looks pretty stiff. And they're like, just send it. And then it's like, bang. And they're like,
Skid
see,
plate.
it
Yeah.
held up. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Then they're like, we're doing these things. They're like, yeah, put it up on this rock. I'm like, isn't that going to hit that rock? They're like, we got rock sliders. You're good. Smash. And I'm just like, this is so funny. Like they're really letting us beat the bag out of these things.
Well, yeah, to their credit, it's like treat it like truck.
Yeah.
And tell people how truck.
And not everybody's like that. And I mean, like, it's not I'm not trying to like denigrate any of the other. I mean, everyone does a great job, but like this was just one of the funnier, like, because we kept, the reason I knew this was funny was because we kept asking them, hey, are we allowed to do that? Like, yeah, do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
They were kind of looking at us like, our parents are not home.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And
I'm not getting paid enough. No, I'm just kidding.
Like
Yeah,
we
probably compensated accordingly.
We were like trying to be good house guests at this place that we thought like we really want to be invited back here.
I don't have
like,
to take my shoes off.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. We were like, do we have to take it? If you want, take your shoes off.
Yeah.
But like, oh, can I have the leftovers in the fridge? They're like, dude, just eat it.
Yeah, take the fridge.
And they're like getting frustrated that we're asking them if we're allowed. They're like, don't ask questions, just do.
That's cool.
And we were like, this is the friggin' best. It was really fun. So it was like a cool, different type of event that they did. But you know, that system, you know, it's a 5.7 liter Hemi with the e-torque system, and that's a weird system because it's an electric motor that's belt driven. So the electric motor turns a belt that's attached to the crank, versus like a supercharger, which is the crank turns the supercharger.
Right.
So this like assists the crankshaft with the belt.
Interesting.
Which is kind of a weird thing. They've had it for years though.
Yeah, right.
But this is where I was so, not to throw Amos under the bus, but he was funny. So we went mountain biking after this because I stayed in Michigan for a few days. So we roll into this mountain biking park and this Ram Hemi e-torque comes in. And I said, oh man, I always forget, like it's got to be old. Like they didn't really change anything. He goes, no. The Hemi e-torque is the new thing. I said, I don't think so. He goes, no, it has to be a 2025 because that's, or 25 or 26, whatever. And I'm like, I don't think so. And so I went up to the guy and I was like, hey, what year is this? He goes, 2022. And then we just ignored him. And Chris goes, well, then what did they change? And so we're like, this, and then we like ignored this guy. So he's just like, what is going on? Yeah. So it was really funny because like we asked this guy one question and then
the parents are fighting.
And then we're just having a fight about like, what did Ram put into this truck and why is it noteworthy? But it's just that it's back. That's it. So
got it.
You know, but otherwise the ride comfort and quality on those are really wild because they use coil springs in the rear, not leaf springs. They're cool trucks.
And they were one of the first to do that in the 1500 space in general anyway, which was great.
It's fantastic. So that was really fun. I completely, so if you're asking me like, what am I excited about? I'm kind of excited that there's like a truck that I like.
And that you just drove, well, not just drove, but you drove the most expensive 360 Ferrari that's ever sold.
So and Will Lee texted me on the way here and wrote, he sends me this and it says, you made the top listing in today's email from BAT.
Heck yeah.
Which is kind of neat. But this 4,500 mile silver striped Challenge Stradale
Beautiful car.
did $603,000
In a week where a manual Cayenne does 125 for the record.
I just have to say, I don't think either of those things are happening again.
One's Lunny Maundering. The other one is a legitimate price.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned.
I think so. Here's the thing. Mark my words. A lot of Challenge Stradales are about to hit the market.
Okay.
In the next 3 months.
Of course. Right after that one, for sure.
I will say, I bet none of them go above $400,000.
Yeah,
I really
it's
don't.
like Michael Schumacher's personal
Yes.
one that he licked the steering wheel
That
of.
he's
Yeah.
currently living in.
Yeah, correct.
Yes,
Correct.
it'll come with him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you'll get an interview with Michael Schumacher for $600,000 in his
shit.
Challenge Rally if that happens again.
I'd pay
so
for that.
I really don't think this is the market. I really think this car is a bit of an anomaly. But we'll see. I think it will boost the market a little bit, but I genuinely don't think that. That's going to be like these are. I just don't think it's a $600,000 car.
You think it bothers Ferrari that the most expensive 360 is silver?
Oh, it must kill them.
Has to, right?
I will tell you, I did not know at the time I was driving the most expensive 360.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is fine. You know what my immediate reaction was I preferred the silver stick that I drove.
Ooh.
The non-challenge car.
Yeah.
The non-challenge Stradale. The regular Modena that had 10,000 miles. It was perfect.
Those
That car was-
cars, they've aged so dang well.
and that
man.
sold for 160.
No kidding.
And that was high.
Yeah,
I
right.
thought
No
that
kidding.
was a 140 car all day, and then it went to 160. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really cool though. Either way.
It's bizarre. The market always has some, and I've got F40 guys texting me going, "What the fuck is going on?" People with F40s are like, "Is this real? What's going on?"
Well, yeah, I mean, does that... okay, what am I trying to say? The craziness of the market has extended past one vehicle in the last month, right? 625 for that 360, nuts. Beautiful car, but nuts. 125 for a manual Cayenne V6, green on black, nuts.
I don't see that. Yeah.
Does that one F40 guy now sell his for $1 bajillion? Do you know what I mean? Like a car that commands value because two cars that have over commanded value, like does that translate to that guy? You know,
I just don't see it. I don't think it's a $600,000 driving experience.
Yeah, that's fair. 100%.
Like not even close.
Yeah.
Like I would, what's crazy is you could have a literal fleet of GT3 touring manuals.
Yeah. Right.
And you could be like, this is my winter one.
Yeah, you could have
This is
six
my California one.
911Ts.
Yes.
6 of them.
So I don't really grasp where we're at there, but like that's never been the thing. It's always been a little bit of rarity. There's 1,300 of them. This isn't 125 cars.
Right.
So it's tough, but I do love the 360. So in that respect, I'm glad the 360 is getting its due.
I agree.
I don't think people appreciate it. People always go, ooh, 355 is so beautiful and sounds great. Ooh, a 430 is such a bargain and I love a Scud. But like everyone kind of overlooks the 360.
Even in period, they kind of overlooked it too, by the way. Even though it was like the sexiest race car too. It's
gorgeous.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. So
Agreed.
I mean that's where I sit with that. I don't get it. I'm glad, but we're here. And then coming up at the end of the month, we're doing a road rally with Team Champagne Ninjas.
Sweet.
We're bringing a fleet of his cars up to Canada.
Ooh.
And it's not fully solidified what we're doing, but we think we're doing an AMG theme. So we're taking the CLK DTM.
Okay.
Cabriolet. We're taking he has an SLK Black Series, the very first Black Series.
That's absurd.
So that should be coming, and the SL65 Black Series, which is
Was
the
that
Rentec car.
commissioned then? Because I don't remember like SLK Black being like widely advertised.
It wasn't available here, so we never got it. So our first Black Series would have been the CLK 63,
right.
Whereas the world's first Black Series was the SLK.
Roger. Okay.
55 too.
Right.
So it's the supercharged V8.
Sick.
So it's a little monster. Hard top, just like the SL 65 Black. So kind of a cool thing. So I'm excited about that. I don't know. There's a chance we bring the 993 Turbo because I kind of want that. I just want to drive it. I just want to spend like quality time crunching miles at 100 miles an hour in in a 993.
I'll spend 0 miles per hour in that thing. Yeah,
It's
100%.
green leather. It's so nice.
Yeah, that's
Oh, it's
crazy.
beautiful. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I've had just a summer of jams.
That's awesome.
Went out
That's
to
awesome.
Wyoming, did some camping. That was sick. I love overlanding. It's something I don't get to do that often.
Did any of the experiences you had this summer reframe what you want your next year to be?
Ooh, yes. Okay, not necessarily in terms of purchases, but in terms of possible modifications to the GX to just get it a little more off-road capable.
Yep.
But you know what I realized is almost more like spiritually, I am a really tightly wound little squirrel.
Okay.
And I need more nature.
Yeah, totally.
And
Sure.
what I've really come to figure out is saying no to things more often.
Okay.
Is pretty liberating.
Yep.
Trying not to overstress myself with the nuances of trying to do too many things at once. Chasing joy and pleasure in a reasonable. This is the thing. Whenever you talk about stuff like this, it's kind of like when someone says, don't worry what anyone else thinks about you.
Yeah.
You should if you're throwing feces at someone on the subway.
Right.
Like that's
Right.
You should worry what other people think of you. But if you're on social media and you post a nice little selfie and someone says you're ugly, well, yeah, don't worry about that.
Yeah, right.
Don't worry about
There's
those
levels
people
for sure.
So we have to manage this expectation a little bit. But chasing like joy and pleasure in a healthy way, not like, hey, cocaine is fun.
Right.
More like, hey, I like going running and maybe I'll table that meeting till tomorrow so I can go exercise or go like experience the sunshine or like, do something healthy for myself. Prioritizing good social environments. And I know this is like a really weird broad statement, but basically I want to go camping more.
Yep.
I want to be out in the woods.
Cool.
I want to spend more time doing like quality things with my friends. And I want to do more of that than chasing money.
Yeah, right.
And oddly enough, the money usually comes when I do those things.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't come when I'm just chasing the money.
I mean, all of us, or at least me, wanted to be Top Gear, right? And if you write down on paper what they did for all of their experiences, you'd be like, this is the dumbest thing of all time, right? We're taking old Mercedes across Europe, or we're doing this here, or whatever. It just seems so stupid. You're like, how would anyone find this entertaining? If this was pitched to me, I'd be like, this is a dumb idea.
It's expensive.
But, right.
It's
but
ridiculous.
Because of the joy that it brought the people doing it, like, you know what I mean? How happy they were, that then translated to everybody else. And now I'm like, oh my God, that is the most fun experience of all time.
Bingo.
So like, I totally get, it's funny. I vividly remember the video you made where you said you were going full-time content.
Yes.
And you were like, this is where I'm happy. We're leaving the hamster wheel of job. Now you almost have to do it again.
Yeah.
It's cool.
100%.
I love it.
And you bring up a really good point because I naturally settled back into my own corporate career. Like
Sure,
I
fair point.
created my own little dungeon.
Yep.
I basically went from like, oh my God, I gotta get out of this cubicle. And then I had like maybe 2 or 3 years of like, can you believe this shit? Like, oh my God. And then I'm like afraid to take chances again because I'm like, don't rock the fucking boat.
Yeah. It's going too good. This is too good.
Yeah. But when you just ride that wave, at some point I have to introduce the T-hybrid system into my own life. We need to shake things up a little bit.
And it comes full circle.
And then
Hell yeah.
we're back. So that's what I know. How about you? What's anything in your like next year horizon that you're like, I would like to do more of this?
It's not too dissimilar to what you mentioned. I think doing more experiences with both my family, but also my friends. And I'm saying experiences, it can be as small as like going to the park, or it can be as big as doing a road trip or flying somewhere. It's huge. Like this year we went to Puerto Rico as a family. It was like our first long trip. We went with some good family friends and it was a nightmare. My little guy got one ear infection. Then he got another ear infection. We're in and out of hospitals. We're doing this whole thing. And in the time it was crazy. It was horrific. It was traumatizing. But now looking back, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad we did that because there were 2 days in that week that weren't traumatizing. And I'll remember those 2 days forever.
100%.
Right? So like the long story short is, even if that road trip sucks, when you get to where you're going, if it's fun, that memory for me is what I need more of.
I got you. So one of the things that I was reading, and I'm not like a self-helpy guy. I have to really parse through and sift through the dumb quotes to get what I need out of these types of people. Like the young Pueblos of the world. I'm 100%. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You clown.
Yeah.
You generalizing clown.
Right.
Just because you say it deadpan doesn't make it real
Correct.
or true
Correct.
or whatever. But once in a while, you'll read something or see something. And I saw something that basically said you have to cultivate awe. Like, awe is something that we all know that feeling of like you arrive somewhere, like especially when you were like in your like late teens, early 20s, you go for like a road trip up to like the Kankamangas Highway in the White Mountains.
Yep.
And you pull off and you just get chills. You go, oh my God, look where we are. We drove here.
Right.
Well, if you do that over and over again, the awe goes away.
Right.
You've got to up the ante. You got to figure out what's the next level of awe.
Yeah, you got to up the dose.
Yes, you do. You really do. And so like at some point you're like mainlining awe, and
right.
you're trying. But what I'm trying to say is that I'm trying to put myself in more awesome situations.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean extreme. It just means like go do a thing where you can. For me, it's like I'm in like a Caterham 7. I've pulled off into this like amazing like little dirt path. I've stopped the car. I've walked into like a meadow and I'm like, it's quiet.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow. Like that's like the feeling that I'm like hunting for.
Okay. Interesting.
And
I
so,
love that.
And so I'm just like trying to do more of that because otherwise like I don't like being in traffic. I'm like less and less of a city person every day.
Fair.
I'm just trying to be like less stressed out by like the craziness and chaos of this world. And it just never ceases.
Yeah.
There's always like, if you're looking at the news cycle, if you're just like in the world, everyone's like an asshole now.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm part of it too, because like the road rage I feel when I get out and someone does, I'm like, but look at this motherfucker.
Everyone includes us.
Yes.
I totally get it.
And I guess I'm just trying to find more awesome experiences where I can feel like I did something, where I can feel happy, where I get even just that fleeting moment of like, this is really cool.
I think my awe, if you will, my awesome is like dinners and hangouts.
Yeah.
I bumped into you at Grid Life in Lime Rock, right?
Dude.
Those 30 to 45 minutes or whatever we talked for, that to me is what I personally need more of in calendar year 2026.
With you.
Casual chats that can last for hours about bullshit.
Yes.
Right? Like, and then also splice in there, memories, road trips, things like that. But like just the inherent nature of being social. I've been work remote for like the last 5 years, and that's been great. It's had its benefits, but getting out and doing those types of things, I really have been super duper craving because I don't have that like office bullshit that I used to have.
Yes.
And so being able to like shoot the shit with you in Lime Rock or whatever with whomever, and is something that I would love. Like, this is going to sound dumb, like a standing dinner
Yes.
with friends or whatever, where I'm like, oh, it's the third Wednesday, for example. I'm going to go hang out with you. We're going to go to Chili's.
Yes.
Even. I don't give a shit
Dude,
where it is.
I'm telling you, this is the joy. Like, I love that idea.
Yeah.
And I'm totally down with that.
Okay. Maybe
so
we
we
did
should
that,
just
but
have we now have a standing dinner. But like, I know exactly what you mean. And like, when I saw you and your brother, that was like, oh, I'm glad I came.
Yeah.
Like, because I easily
Same,
could have
by the
not.
way. Yeah.
I was just like, this is great. This is what I'm here for. Because like, I'm not racing.
Right.
So I'm helping my friends when they need it. But
Right.
at the same time, I'm like, I'm just kind of fucking sitting around the toter.
Yep.
And that's the joy. So I'm with you on that. And I think we need to make more time for our things. I'm also becoming so much less materialistic. I don't
me too.
care about stuff. I want less stuff. And I know that as someone with 4 cars, that sounds absurd.
Yeah.
However, 2 of those cars I've had for over 10 years.
Right.
So they're peripheral.
Right.
They're over there.
Right.
But I don't want stuff. This is why, like, I could, for example, go place my order for that Carrera GTS right now. I could go do that.
Yeah, I'm going 80,000 SUV to $30,000 compact hatch.
And
Like,
I'm
I
not,
totally get you.
I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to just hang tight and enjoy the things that I've got and try to make the most of where I can go and try to spend the resources finding the awe and not hoping that an object provides it for me.
Yeah, right.
I want to go do stuff. And that's one of the reasons why that Wyoming trip was so beautiful, was because when you immerse yourself in something for long enough, it really starts to feel like you're there.
Yeah.
And it takes, as I've gotten older, it seemingly takes longer and longer for me to feel like I'm there, because I've traveled a lot. I've been all over this world. I've done, and even locally, like domestically, I've done amazing press trips with all these great people. And if those are 3-day events, you arrive, the next day you drive, the next day you leave.
Yep.
And sometimes I'll be driving in the most gorgeous place. I'll be in like off-roading in Montana. I'll be in Southern California, Northern California, in these amazing places. And you never really feel like you got to settle in and actually enjoy it, because you're just nonstop working the whole time. You're in a beautiful place. You look back at the footage and you go, wow, I can't believe I was there, but I never felt it.
It didn't resonate.
Didn't
for sure.
resonate. Whereas if I was there for like 4 or 5, 6 days, then I'd be like, I'm here. I like a routine. I like to like wake up somewhere a couple of times.
Totally.
And do that whole thing. So that would be my goal for what I'm doing in the next like 12 calendar months.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I'm excited to hear about it. How about that?
Yeah. Well, you'll be part of it because now we have dinner.
Oh boy, Chili's, open your doors.
I love a trashy experience.
Yeah.
I can really respect, and I don't mean that in like a negative way. I mean it in like an objective way. Like
Yeah.
I want to drink Coors Light with
Yes,
you,
correct.
with baby back ribs.
Correct.
Like that.
Bottomless appetizers, please.
Yes.
Yes, I don't disagree.
Give me a bloomin' onion at an Outback Steakhouse. Give me like, I do love shit like that. I think that stuff is fun. It's kitschy. It's enjoyable. And Doughboys is my favorite podcast.
Yes,
So, there you go.
agree.
It's the fucking best. So this podcast, not very funny, hopefully somewhat educational.
Sure.
And whatever, but Doughboys, they really know how to do it.
They get it done.
They get it
I
done.
don't disagree.
All right, before we close out, anything else? Any final thoughts?
I think that folks need to drive the car they need, not the car they want.
Ooh, stop looking at numbers.
Yep.
I think
Doesn't mean anything.
it's true.
Yep.
It's really true. Yeah, I test everything too. Don't be shy.
Oh my God, brand loyalty be damned. I don't care if you hate Kia and Hyundai. I don't even care if you're not going to buy a Kia or Hyundai. Go drive it.
Go
If it's
drive
part
it.
Of the experience.
There's
Yeah.
stuff out there that's really wild. And if you ever say, "Oh, I'll never do a hybrid. I'll never do an EV. I'll never do a 4-cylinder. I'll." Boy, oh boy,
Oh,
are
there's
you
one
just
in every category. I'll never drive a front-wheel drive. Go drive a Type R. I'll never drive an EV. Go drive an Ioniq 5N. I've no, you know what I mean? Like there's the car that'll buck that trend for you in every single class. So just do it and have fun with it, man.
100%. So, all right, well, that's gonna do it. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for coming on. I know
Thanks for having me, dude.
we need to do this more often. I know that like it's always like we schedule it and then we push it and then we schedule it and we push it, and this needs to be the standing dinner of
Yeah,
our
next
lives.
time we'll have Chili's.
Yeah. Oh, takeout in the studio. They
Yep.
can just listen to us eat.
Yep.
I love it.
Is there anything? Yeah, never mind. There's an audience out there that wants to hear you eat, I think.
We'll do a secondary podcast. It'll just be called like Vile ASMR.
Yeah, that's the Patreon
Horrible.
for sure.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
All right. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
And that's it. That's the whole show. That's what we did. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope these conversations are entertaining. I hope you feel like you're talking to a couple of buddies about the things that you care about. I mean, we can talk about Ferraris and Porsches and Lamborghinis. We can talk about Hondas. We can talk about Caterhams. We can talk about Mazdas and GTIs and whatever. I think there's a place for all of the conversations within the realm of this show. I'm always open to suggestions. And I don't know, I just like sitting down and talking to my friends. And why not record it like every other person in the world who has a podcast? But I hope you enjoy this one. So thank you guys so much for listening. Thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks for supporting the Patreon. Thank you to Garage 42 for hosting this podcast here in Acton, Massachusetts, where I store my cars. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you soon. See you in the next one.